guys, it's no longer about the pictures. It's no longer about the stuff. It's how are we telling the story? How are we telling the corridor story?
When you have a prospect on the phone, there's no passionate about A or B project. It's about finding the best fit and make sure that they trust you, how to position themselves as the best helper or the best solution from them. So that is the main point of content. It's just everything needs to lead towards the sale, building a brand and building trust with a user and a customer. Gotta get that sweet commission, gotta hit those goals, eh?
True, very true, very true. Welcome back, everybody, to Founders Corner. In today's episode, I have with me Dejan. He is a growth expert. I'm super excited to actually pick his brain on how to approach growth, how to approach sales, enablement, and everything in between. So I'm super excited to have a conversation with them. And he comes from a company he's co-founded called Grow and Scale. And there he actually helps further lined startups actually be able to create systematic growth capabilities. And in today's episode, he's going to be talking to us about where he started, how he started, and what his couple of his secrets are to help you guys, the founders, be able to get yourself at least started at the early stage. So let's welcome Dejan. Dejan, welcome to the episode.
Awesome. Hey, Sab, thanks for the invitation. Happy to share what I learned along the way.
Awesome. So, Dan, tell me what brought you here? How did you get started with sales? Why is that your superpower?
Yeah, so as many of you listeners, I've been born and raised within the gauntlet of startups for the last 10 years. So
it truly is a gauntlet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brutal. Like my hairline just moves back every year for 2 centimeters.
Yeah, being part of too many startups will do that to you. That's for sure.
The short and sweet. Started with tech startups in 2014 as a full stack marketer. So you got a mission, zero or just a little budget, and you have to grow. And
that sounds about right. Yep.
Been specializing in growth and content marketing, and being super scrappy, adopt the data-driven approach, and have been producing content for 3 startups.
Yeah. Do you also generate unicorns, or what's the story?
Unicorns is such
that all sounds really good.
Unicorn is a touchy subject, but one of the startups did become a category leader.
Yeah.
And that was achieved through really good content strategy, massive production, and just being consistent.
Amazing. Okay, so you have a unique approach, which I actually really appreciate, because I'm always about the unique approach in my mind. Like how is it different to everybody else? So when I was talking to you, you intrigued me incredibly. Because your accent I love your accent. I usually don't say that about any Eastern Europeans, but also I love the way you approached it. It was very much like how marketing can help sales, whereas in most standard places, it's usually marketing versus sales. It's like they rarely like to work together. So how do you combine that to make sure that they work together well?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And if marketing and sales are butting heads, then hey, it's not going to work. You guys are in the same team, right? How I come up to this solution. So I am a co-founder of Grow and Scale agency, which started as a content marketing agency. So producing content, you have to do massive research.
Yeah.
And the goal of marketing is not more traffic, better SEO ranking, is converting it to leads that sales can close. And that is the most important subject for every startup. So why doesn't content help with sales? So this is where the sales and competitive enablement comes from.
Yeah.
And after a few weeks, few months, you'll find out that, sales is getting all those juicy leads, but they're not closing deals.
Yeah.
So what is the problem?
And they're always, the response is they're bad leads, right? Like that's like marketing is getting us leads, but they're not good leads. And then marketing goes, well, they're not treating it right. Yeah. There's always that push and pull kind of concept. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the secret is just to get together and communicate. Hey, what is the actual problem? Marketing
What?
saying, we're getting all those leads. And the sales are just like, those leads are shit. We need better ones. Okay,
Yeah.
what is the issue? And the
Yeah.
issue is usually somewhere in between.
Right. Yeah, and there's a misconnect between like the delivery, right? Marketing will delivers it in a particular way. Sales likes to deliver it in a particular way. So it becomes this battle in between. I mean, I've done an episode on sales. It was a really good episode. He's also gone through a gauntlet of startups, and his biggest thing or advice for founders was, you got to focus on teaching the sales guy as a founder versus simply hiring a sales guy and expecting them to deliver. And I think that is one of the tricks, right? Because marketing really tries to tell that story, really tries to build content around that story, the branding, basically the founder vision, whereas sales is more oriented around sell, right? We got quotas, we got to hit, sell. So, there's that miscommunication. I agree with you. So what is it that besides the communication aspect, I mean, it's easy to say talk. And when we've done another episode where we talked to a gentleman named Roderick Jefferson, one of my mentors, actually my only mentor, he talks about sales enablement and he talks about communication. What's your approach with it? Because you're being focused, which is what makes you successful. So what's your approach to that communication? Like, how do you align the two that are completely thinking differently?
Right. So I'm going to say the E word, empathy.
Yeah.
So instead of me directing to sales, you need to do this. First, you need to listen and figure out what are those main objections that are popping up every time, whether that's competitor enablement, whether those are on the sales front. So sales objections, sales enablement. And then you just prioritize it. If you keep hearing, oh, we love your product, but it's missing that integration, that pops out 10 times. All right, drop everything, fill that hole so you don't have a leaky bucket, and things should be changing.
So based on, let's talk about a founder, right? Like a founder who just started their business. What is the thing that they need to focus on the most in order to, because here's the thing I always say too, is startups are limited by two major things, money and people, right? They can't hire as easily as others because they're limited by money, right? Money is also a huge problem. So what is the approach in order to take as a startup to set yourself up for success right off the bat?
Yeah, so one word for that is resources, and just whether those are budget or time, right? Both are the resources.
Yeah.
And to be successful, there's a really good saying that I like. You can be bad at everything, but if you're good at selling, you should be all right.
Yeah. So the go-to-market strategy. I agree with that. Yep.
Plug that hole as fast as possible. How you do that? Talk to customers first, then talk to your team. You'll get the priorities there, and then you just go and attack them viciously.
Yeah, and I think you also created your also tactic is to create a battle card, right? So tell me a little bit more on your approach with the battle card. Yeah, by the way, just for our users, in case they don't know what a battle card is. So a battle card, it's basically, think of it like index cards, essentially for your sales team to be able to actually, like whenever you get a particular pushback from a customer on a regular basis, that card essentially is your sales guy's response to that inquiry or customer concern or whatever you may call it. And Dan actually focuses not only on the content side and building that marketing strategy, but also aligning your sales team with that battle card. So sorry, go ahead. How do you take the approach on the battle card?
Yeah, so battle card is a piece of asset, a collateral that you give out to sales team to support their conversation when they're talking to the prospect.
The one-on-ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's, as you put it, it's basically an index card just that helps you close that deal.
Yep.
It's usually when competitor A is mentioned, it's I'm He-Man and they're talking about Skeletor. I need to know exactly what to say, so I raise the percentage or possibility that prospect will go with me and not my enemy, my competitor.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the battle card just shows you, hey, here is how we are positioned better. towards competitor A.
Right, like the pros and the cons. Here's where we dominate, where they struggle. Yep, makes sense.
Exactly. And one of the really good nuggets is you never talk bad about competition. You don't.
No, it never works out.
Yeah, it's very amateur.
Yeah.
But you do want to spread some seeds of doubt.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Let's say you know that you're way better, and for B2B technology, this is really important. You're way better in how secure your platform is.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying competitor B is just super bad at security, they have data leaks and so on, you just say, well, if a security is important to you, we have this and this features, and we are recognized as SOC2.
Yeah.
And our competitor, we haven't heard about it. So maybe ask them if they have
SOC.
SOCs. Yeah. And just this, in the prospect's mind, is just like, okay, yeah, well, we don't want to have data leakages, and we haven't heard about our competitor B that they are good at this. So, hey, you've created a so-called landmine, and you are way better in the eyes of your prospect on the phone than the competitor.
Right. No, I like that approach, and you're taking more value-based rather than feature-based, which is more like, what do you value? Because here's how I'm going to solve that problem for you, which I love. I'm more value-based selling kind of guy. I'm not a big fan. Again, it's one of those amateur things. If you're trying to sell a product, because you shouldn't be selling product today, everybody's selling the same product. So the biggest thing is, how are you adding value? Again, this is going back to one of my other episodes. It's the cost of inaction, right? So if you're not taking these actions, how is this going to impact you in your business, right? And that's the other aspect the approach I take is with like AI, for example. I always tell clients, I'm like, if you're not incorporating AI, right, what is that going to cost you in 2-3 years? You're building a platform. If you're not incorporating AI, how's that going to impact you in 3 or 4 years? Because right now everyone's slapping AI on top of their applications, right? They're all just kind of going, yeah, here's AI. Sales is taking a huge approach to AI, right? Because that helps them a lot, right? But what's the inaction of not building it directly inside your core products, right? That's how I always approach it with sales, is less of a, like, taking the approach of pros and cons, planting the seeds of doubt, and then explaining how inaction is going to cost you through, and why you're the solution to that inaction.
Yeah, there's always a risk assessment, right?
Yeah.
You keep seeing, well, this year or last year, the Web3 was the most important thing. And before that was blockchain, but it was really hard to understand. I don't think
I've ever taken an approach on honestly on blockchain. In my opinion, blockchain is tough, and a lot of people simplify blockchain in my mind. And so, like, oh man, anyways, that's a whole separate conversation to be had. But yeah, blockchain, yeah, I agree with you though. It is always a buzzword around, right?
Yeah, but with AI is absolutely massive. And look, it's 5 months in, they have 100 million users.
Yeah, which is the largest growth, by the way, ever. It beat Facebook, it beat everybody.
Yeah, you should be thinking, even like just looking at Google, like they are sweating bullets right now. They are trying to move as fast as possible. So AI is here to stay, definitely.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So what are some of the advice you have for early founders who are looking at potentially getting into, sales? One of the biggest things we always tell people, I don't know if you agree with this or not, I would love to hear a comment, is we always talk about how you need to pre-sell before you even start your product. Like during the product phase time, you should be telling your story on content and marketing. And you should be trying to getting as many people on your product and product advisory board, like people basically buying into the idea and basically saying, I want to be a part of this. What are your thoughts on how people can take that approach?
Yeah, so the reason that you're starting or building a product is that you found a pain point in the market. So just gather those people around and keep talking to them so you know what thing you need to build.
Right.
And you have to do this from day 0 to unlimited. You always have to be doing this, because at one point when you do succeed, you're going to be hit with the competition. And that's where you're going to need like differentiating factors, positioning, alignment. But just being extremely obsessed about the customer, all the other things are going to fall in line. Just figure out who that audience is and build for them. So if you just keep on talking, that's going to be leading to...
Well, and that's the key, right? When you're having those sales conversations, especially early on, you're not really trying to sell them anything. You're trying to sell them on the idea, which is a lot easier, in my opinion, than selling them on a product. And then once you sell them on an idea, you then just try to maintain that relationship on, hey, I'm thinking of adding this feature. Would that actually help you at all? Like, having these conversations is actually surprising how easy it is to have those conversations with people who really have nothing to gain from it, besides the fact that they might actually get a product that they can actually really use. So we always encourage our founders, look, go out and sell, go try some marketing content that might help you understand what messaging will work, right? So that is also your other superpower, right? Is the content marketing side of things. So why don't you tell us more about how you approach content marketing? Because I think the way you approach it is quite unique, and I love it actually. So I'm curious how you want to present that.
Yeah, so it's stemming from the same philosophy of everything needs to be catered towards a user. Mm-hmm. So instead of a lot of content marketing agencies out there are SEO, ranking, keywords, which is important.
Yeah.
But would you rather have 5,000 people on your website for a keyword, or do you want to have 100 people that have exactly that problem, can go to your website, identify you as an expert in that area, can trust you, and then become your customers? So my approach with content strategy is always create some sort of a content funnel with articles, webinars, social media, whatever.
Yeah.
And make sure it's a logical journey from first, yes, you're the company that is trustworthy. You have the expertise in it. And then you have some sort of proof that you're the best company that can solve that problem. And you do this through top, middle, and bottom of the funnel content. So you're basically creating a content machine. And when you marry that with the enablement piece, then you have a solid business that you can just keep on optimizing, and it's getting better and better with each iteration.
What are your thoughts around the whole agency approach? Because I know a lot of founders think, okay, I got to hire a company. I don't know what I'm doing. And that is, again, we're going back to the fact that resources, right? They're very limited by their resources. So one mistake can be a very costly mistake. So, nowadays you can find people online that do the whole, hey, we'll bring you leads. There's that agency, right? Which I love to hear your opinion. I'll give you mine in a second. But there's also the approach of like the marketing agencies where they're like, yeah, we do your website, we do your marketing, we do your SEO, we do your social media managing. But okay, so I'll go through it. Like, I've used all of them. Right? With all of them. I've done the whole, building out the we'll bring you leads. I've tried a bunch. It's really, really hard, right? To actually get that to work correctly, especially with your messaging and grouping. And half the time the leads are okay at best. They're never like great leads. I feel like you have to have a really interesting value proposition for that to work really well. So there's that part. On the marketing side, I hate every single marketing agency that I've worked with so far. No, I'm not joking. Like, even hiring like staffers, not internal, but staffers, they lack the understanding of how marketing works, and it's really frustrating. And me coming from a marketing person, I graduated from marketing, right? So you and I get along because we have the same thought process. But when you bring on someone from social media, let's say, and I think they're going to struggle because TikTok reels and stuff, it has nothing to do with pretty pictures anymore. It's about storytelling. It's about videography. It's about how good your content is. Whereas before it was all about pretty pictures and hashtags and things like that, where that just doesn't matter. That world is so done. Where, you know, we struggle with that part too, where it's like, guys, it's no longer about the pictures. It's no longer about the stuff. It's how are we telling the story? How are we telling the corridor story? What are we about? What are your thoughts about that movement? Like now that everything, A, what do you think about the agency model? And then B, what do you think of the new era in content marketing?
Yeah, excellent question. When I started the agency, I had a little bit of
sorry about that, by the way. I did specifically say I've not worked with one that I liked. I didn't mean they're all bad. So
I had the same kind of feeling with because I know agency have a really bad connotation just because we're going to fix all your problems, but they don't understand you, your business, and
they don't even try. They don't even try to understand your business. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not generalizing here, but like in general, so I'm going to go with like at least 50% of them. It's a volumes game for them. Get the contract, do your standard stuff, move on kind of concept, right? It's very cookie cutter. And then when you go to the more boutique ones, they take the approach of understanding your business and really trying to do what you do. But that's kind of hard to first start up to justify the pricing around it, right? So yeah, okay, just adding that point. So yeah, you were in the agency. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you have to dip your toes in it with your product and figure out what the story is at first. But I would stay away from the agencies that do everything because they're not experts in everything.
Yeah.
But once you're at the point where, okay, I need to I have this huge problem right here. We're not closing sales. Then seek out that specialist.
Okay. So before you go to them right off the bat, figure out where your gap is and find that gap help.
Exactly. I would think of it like how Hollywood movies are made.
Yeah.
They don't have one studio. You have a core team, and then I need a special guy that does lightning effects. We'll take him and they'll fix our lightning. Or I need somebody that does our
That's
costumes.
true.
So I'll take those in. And if all is run correctly, then have a freaking Godfather. It's amazing that you wouldn't be able
I thought you were going to go with Avenger, but Godfather works too. Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know about hero movies. There are just like too many of them.
True. Okay, what are your thoughts about content marketing now in today's world with TikTok, with Facebook, with Facebook, I mean Instagram, Reels? What are your thoughts on the new model? Because it's no longer about hashtags. It's no longer about pictures. It's really more video, and not every brand can do that well. So what are your thoughts about the new model that's kind of ripping through the market?
Well, that's a good point. It has definitely changed. It depends because you need to know your audience, right? Yeah. If you're selling compressors, like TikTok is probably not going to help you that much.
I don't even know how you can make videos on that. Maybe compressors that are blowing up.
Or maybe it can. Maybe you just have to produce like white papers, how your compressors are way more cost efficient and save you millions of dollars for 5 years. The goal stays the same. Yeah. You need to produce content that wins trust, show you as an expert, and then essentially convert into a customer.
And I think that's your key word, right? Is show yourself as the expert. You got to be able to, in today's content, you have to provide value before you receive value, right? You can't just simply go out there and be like, look, here's 2 videos. I know what I'm talking about. Like, it's like everybody's doing that 2 content to show expertise. I mean, you can literally Google it and just do it. Hell, you can use ChatGPT and just build a whole video around it, and you can pretend to be an expert. In my opinion, you need that consistency, and it takes months. It takes like a year, I would even say. Like, we've been doing our like podcasts. I think we've been pushing really hard on the podcast for about almost a year now. We've been doing the content online on TikTok, funny videos, things like that for about a year and a half now. And you're just starting to see the effects of it. So it is very much trickle marketing, but there's a lot of value on the back end because this kind of content lasts forever. Right. You don't have to do it again and again and again, right? With keywords, you might get a boost. Running ads, you might get a boost, but it's not gonna be one of those things that lasts forever. It's only gonna last for as long as you pay for it.
Yeah, it's all about the long run.
It's all about the long run.
Every piece of content is basically a mini employee that works for you.
Yeah.
So every tweet, post, once you aggregate it, you have a bowl of content, and it should get you leads and get you conversions and customers.
What is your approach with content? Like what is your go-to? What do you find the most successful?
First of all, just the basics.
I love basics.
Expertise, conversions. Yeah. But then you have to they need to become your customers at one point, and then I switch the content to help the sales teams. So this is where the enablement comes in, especially in B2B technology. All the companies, no matter what kind of LMS, CRM, data security provider you're going with, it's like comparing salt against each other.
Right.
When you have a prospect on the phone, there's no passionate about A or B project. It's about finding the best fit and make sure that they trust you. So this is where having content, not just public facing on the website or social media, but also having content that supports sales teams. So they know exactly what to say, how to gain that trust, how to position themselves as the best helper or the best solution for them. So that is the main point of content. It's just everything needs to lead towards the sale, building a brand and building trust with a user and a customer.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest with you, a lot of times when people always forget this other aspect of churn, right? It's the how many customers are you losing? Because that does revolve back to sales at the end of the day. Because reality is, if sales is getting the contract and you're losing more customers, there's some sort of disconnect between the contract signing and what they're seeing in the system, right? So have you ever dealt with that where you're kind of in a situation where it's like, okay, we got to communicate with marketing. Okay, this is what's working, this is what's not working on the sales. Cool. Let's say you have that streamlined, but what about on the onboarding side? What about the customer success side? Do you find value in keeping communication with them as well?
Yeah, and this is great. This is a product marketing approach. Usually, if customers are churning while they're already in your product, then there's something wrong with the product. Like, hey, onboarding doesn't make sense. There's probably a feature they're encountering
or sales
or something.
Or sales.
Yeah,
sales. Here's the thing with sales: they always oversell, especially when they don't especially when the contract is just on the cusp, right? They'll hear product, be like, "Hey, we're gonna plan to maybe work on this feature," and then all of a sudden in the sales call, you start hearing, "Yeah, Q1, we're gonna have that launch. No problem. We'll have it done by."
Gotta get that sweet commission. Gotta hit those goals, eh?
True, very true, very true.
Usually with sales is the toughest part.
Yeah.
Once you get them in, they already trusted you and they'll give you some leeway.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have it figured out, now you just have to keep on learning. Just talk with customer success. That's why if you want to have a really good competitive or sales enablement program, your constant thing that you're doing is talking to customers, talking to sales, talking to success team, and talking to marketing.
Yeah.
And then all the patterns get together, put together. You know exactly what to do to support each or whatever the department you're getting.
Right. That makes sense. All right. And I also, if I remember correctly, you have a special link you've created for our listeners. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, I created this I'm calling it Atomic Battle Card just because
I love it.
We're all fans of James Clear.
By the way, if anyone doesn't know who that is, that's the author behind Atomic Habits. Yeah. Excellent book, by the way. Great read.
Yeah, it should be a Bible for every founder.
Bible. I like it. If you want to, I don't know if you've ever read, if you think that's a Bible, have you read the book Grit?
Is that the Angela Duckworth?
That's the one. Have you read it?
Yep.
See, that's my Bible. I love that book because I think that book is a great example of why it's not all about great ideas. It's not all about, having the smartest or the, whatever. It is a personal, I always call it, startup world is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be able to survive long term. But anyways, okay. Atomic Habits. That's the Bible for you.
Well, actually, it's extreme ownership, but
yeah, that's a good one too. Actually.
Yeah. So for listeners to Founders Corner, I've made this asset called Atomic Battle Card. Yep. It's on growandScale.com//Korner with a K.
Yes, always with a K.
And you'll get this template of a battle card. So whenever, just download it. It's in Google slide form, and create your first battle card. Create one thing that your sales can use when they get on the phone, and you're positioning yourself against a competitor. Use it, fill it out, and see if win-loss ratios are skewing towards wins and not losses.
What now if the listeners decide to download that? So again, it's growandScale.com/Korner with K, standing for Founders Corner. Love it. Thank you for that. But also, if they want to get in touch with you to ask maybe more questions, how can our audience get in touch with you if you want them to get in touch with you? No pressure. You don't have to put your email out there.
My name is so weird, so nobody's going to figure out the spelling anyway.
We'll tag it. If you want LinkedIn, we'll tag it to the account.
Great. But yeah, growandScale.com is the best source. Okay. Just send me an email.
You're the co-founder, so you get the emails anyways.
Oh yeah, all of them.
All right. So for everyone, and if you want to get in touch with Dejan, he's more than happy to. He's a great conversation to be had with him. He's amazing to talk to you about this kind of stuff. Like, this is his forte. He comes highly recommended by me and some people I know. So, growandScale.com. Great guy, Dan. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And until next time, Corridor Founders Corner, everybody there. Just so you guys know, we actually have a couple of workshops coming up, especially in New York and Portland, if you guys are in those cities, for June. And we have some in Vancouver and Kelowna for May. So make sure you check out our website, www.corridor.io. And if you want to enter those workshops, they're completely free. They're designed for you guys. It's basically me talking about what we talked about with Dan, but more on the product side of stuff. So if you're interested, visit our website. Again, don't forget about the battle card. That is a huge asset that Dan is giving out for as a template. growandScale.com/Korner with a K. So Dan, again, thank you so much for being here. Any last words for our founders? Like, for example, watch out for this, or don't give up.
Don't give up would be the first thing, but then what would like to stress, just keep talking to your customers. Keep talking.
I love it. Keep talking to your customers. Dan, again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. For all those at home listening and or watching, thank you all so much. Share this video or audio with anybody that you think will get some value out of it. Until next time, Corridor out.
Peace.